Welcome back, fight fans, to another episode of GTS Combat. And yo, I'm looking ahead to a highly anticipated fight. This one is the main event for UFC 266 on September 25th, the same night that Anthony Joshua defends his belts against Alexander Usyk. So this is a serious date to mark in the calendar for us fight fans. So make sure you're tuning in. But here, right now, we're looking into the featherweight title fight between Brian T-City Ortega, the contender, taking on the current champion in Alexander the Great, Volkanovski. You got Brian Ortega coming into this, 15 wins, 1 loss, 1 no contest. And Alexander Volkanovski, 22 wins, 1 loss. So let's get into it. How do I see this one playing out? It's a bit of a weird one. You got the jiu-jitsu specialist in Brian Ortega taking on the well-rounded Alexander the Great, who's probably got more of a wrestling sort of strategy, the wrestling approach at times. You know, he's quite well-rounded. He'll kind of stay on the outside, kind of commit to 1 or 2 shots at a time. Never really stands in the pocket and trades. He'll kind of skirt around, stay light on his feet, bouncing on his toes, Volkanovski, and he'll kind of come lunging in, leg kick, maybe a jab, maybe a 1-2. And if he does hurt you, then obviously he's going to keep walking you down and stepping up the pressure, kind of taking it to you. But for the most part, he likes to stay safe. He's very strategic in his striking approach, in his whole approach in general. Whilst Brian Ortega, we know he's the jiu-jitsu specialist, but for the most part, he will keep it standing. He's not going to shoot a double leg or a single leg on his opponent, generally speaking, Brian Ortega. He's going to try hurt you and make you shoot on him, and then he's going to tie you up. He's going to get you in a guillotine choke, or he's going to tie you up on the ground and just go for something, go for some sort of submission. So, you know, we saw an elevated striking level from him in his last time out against the Korean Zombie. We saw him put on a bit of a show, bit of a masterclass against the Korean Zombie, who everyone expected to be the sort of the more comfortable in the striking exchanges against Brian Ortega. We kind of saw it as, you know, Korean Zombie's got the striking, Ortega's got the ground game, but nah, Ortega took it to him and he outclassed him on the feet. So on the feet, this one will be an interesting battle between Ortega and Volkanovski. So I really see that whoever can dictate the whoever can really dominate them striking exchanges, who can ever dictate where the fight's taking place and kind of dictate the range and take control of the octagon, take control of the center of the octagon. Or I suppose Volkanovski don't need to, but, you know, be in control of the exchanges and when we're going to have to, when we're going to meet each other, when we're going to have these exchanges. I feel like that is who's going to win this fight, because I don't feel like anyone's going to shoot on each other. Volkanovski is very well-rounded, so he will generally like to throw in the odd takedown to kind of mix it up, keep his opponent guessing. But I don't feel like he's going to do that against Brian Ortega, because he feels like if he shoots, he may be able to control him here and there. But Ortega's going to be trying to, you know, tie him up, go for submissions. He's going to be attacking things the whole time. He's dangerous off his back. He's dangerous wherever the fight takes place, but he's ever so more dangerous as soon as the fight hits the mat. So I feel like Alexander Volkanovski is going to be aware of that. So he's going to probably feel more comfortable treating it like against Max Holloway, just kind of staying on the outside, kind of coming in, pop 1-2, back out, keep it safe, and just point score against him. That's how I feel Volkanovski's going to kind of approach this one. Whilst I feel like Ortega, he may step in with a bit more confidence that he could finish his fight wherever it's playing out. He could probably comfortably win on the feet at times, as long as he can dictate the range and kind of take center of the octagon and kind of keep Volkanovski on his bike, having to constantly keep him moving, you know, wearing Alexander Volkanovski out potentially, because I know we haven't really seen him slow down much at all in his fights. But, you know, if you're the one constantly moving and Brian Ortega's just having to cut off the octagon, he's kind of conserving a lot more energy than Volkanovski, who's constantly on his bike, constantly bouncing around, constantly on his toes. So Ortega would be potentially the fresher fighter throughout the fight if that is how it was to play out. So I feel like Ortega's probably going to be quite confident that he can kind of dominate this fight wherever it plays out. That isn't to say that he's going to win this fight, because Volkanovski, very well-rounded. He could easily win this fight via decision just by keeping it standing, just by point scoring, just by touching Ortega but not letting him catch him at all. That is a very possible outcome. He could also get on top of Ortega and just play it safe and not allow him to go for any submissions, but just control him. And it's whether the ref chooses to stand him up, or if Volkanovski just looks busy enough to not get stood up. That's another possible outcome. But what do I see most likely happening? Or who am I favouring more to come out of this with their arm raised? I can really see going either way. I sat down to do this video and I had in my head Volkanovski. But as I'm talking, I'm almost talking myself into going Ortega. Because naturally I feel like Volkanovski, the more well-rounded, probably got the better gas tank. Probably maybe the slightly more physical, strength-wise, got the bit of physicality. If it came to the clinch exchange, he's probably the stronger man out of the two. He's very thick built, whilst Ortega's a bit more rangy, but a bit more wiry. Whilst Ortega, Volkanovski, that form of rugby build, them thick thighs, them fucking, he's just a short, chunky geezer, any compared to Ortega. So he probably has got he's probably got the better physicality in the clinch or the grapple exchanges. And that's why I feel like if he gets to the mat, he could potentially hold Ortega down, even though for how tricky Ortega is on the mat. So it is a difficult one. But I want to back Ortega. I don't want... It's bad to say I don't want, because this is an interesting one. I like both guys. Watching Tough at the moment, watching, the Ultimate Fighter. It is interesting seeing both guys, and I feel like Volkanovski's getting a bit more emotionally invested than Ortega. Ortega's having a bit of fun with it. He's playing with it. He's having a laugh. He's winding people up. I feel like he's a bit more kid-like Ortega at times. So he kind of brushes things off. It doesn't bother him. He's a bit like, I don't give a shit. And whilst Volkanovski's taking things a bit more personally, he's getting a bit more heated. So he might come in with, a little feel of something to prove, a little, wanting to maybe actually give it to him a bit more than usual because, this little bit of banter they're having at times. But that's all ifs and buts. I doubt he's really getting that emotionally invested, but he's just getting a bit wound up at times whilst Ortega's not. So that could play a factor, we don't know. These guys spending so much time together for such a long period of time. But I am going to give you guys my prediction then. So I feel like if it goes to decision, either guy could get the victory, because there's so many ways this fight could play out, and in each way it could be in dominating fashion for that said person in each way. So when the fight plays out, it could look so one-sided that you're like, well, if I said this is going to be a close fight, but it's close it's whoever can kind of control how the fight plays out, and then if they can, then it really will benefit them. But it's really taking it to them to make sure that the fight plays out the way you want it to. So we'll have to see. We're not too sure. But for my prediction, I'm going to say Brian Ortega, maybe third, fourth round. Because I feel like if he can hurt Alexander Volkanovski, he's going to go back to his basics. He's maybe going to panic and shoot for a takedown. If he shoots for a takedown, then Ortega's going to wrap him up. So third or fourth round, maybe when the fight's a bit close. Not too sure which way it's going. Maybe Alexander Volkanovski gets a little bit hurt, shoots for a takedown, and Brian Ortega wraps him up. And I know that's very specific, but that's maybe how I see Ortega getting this victory. In my head, that's what I see happening. Because like I said, there's so many ways it could play out that I just don't know. But if I had to put money on it, I'm going to say Ortega, third or fourth round submission. That would be my official prediction. Let me know your prediction in the comment section below. I've been your boy Jimmy. This has been GTS Combat. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Till next time.